Hey, Jason.
There's a lot of noise in the background. Hi. Tonight we have another episode of Meet the Author with author of Farmington River Reflections, My Photographic Journey and Meditations by Tosun Kilday. How are you, Debbie?
Good. How are you, Jason?
Pretty good. As a nature photographer, Debbie visits wild places and encounters many of the animals, plants, and insects that make their homes on the Farmington River. She strives to capture their beauty through the use of photography to share with others. It is through this sharing with others that brings understanding and acceptance. On the back cover, she writes, "The Farmington River is 81 miles long from headwaters to mouth. In 1994, a 14-mile segment of the Farmington River received federal wild and scenic designation. This is the only river in Connecticut and one of only 6 in New England with such a designation." Well, this is a very pretty, I personally know the Farmington River because I go fishing there a lot.
It is.
So I recognized a lot of the photos in your book. Absolutely a beautiful book. Let's show the audience some of the photos of the Farmington River. There we go.
I took a lot of the wildlife. I would walk along the trails, and there were some Chinese geese that I would see all the time while walking.
And so I saw a lot of the pictures you have. These are Chinese geese?
Yeah. They're
I
very
see
friendly.
They're very friendly and very photogenic. And I see you took many of the photos on the river, have the geese in them. Do you have a specific place that the geese hung out?
They would hang out by Mill Street, at the end of Mill Street, which Garden Street crosses Mill Street.
And whereabouts?
The old
That's
grist
in
mill
Farmington?
building, yes.
And that's in Farmington itself. Is
Yeah.
the Farmington River, is that only in Farmington or it goes in other cities too?
No, it goes up into Massachusetts.
Did you take your photos just in the Farmington area or all around?
That one that you're showing right there was in Canton, New Hartford area.
Mm-hmm. And one thing interesting, you told me that the book and the photos, and when you took the photographs, it got you to write poetry. It inspired you to write poetry, and you brought some of those poems with you today. So for our audience, maybe start with a photo that you took that's in the book and a poem that you wrote that you were inspired about.
All right.
We can do them all, that's okay.
Okay. My first poem was...
Well, which is the photo that was inspiring?
Okay.
Let's see the I'll hold that. And you can read while I have this photo.
My first poem that I wrote, I have to take my glasses off to read, is called Our Two Eyes Meet. Our two eyes met. I saw a soul I recognized from long ago. We are not strangers, though we just met. Lost from worlds past, we now connect. What connected us meeting for the first time? Was it a look or a feeling? How do you recognize a familiar soul? I would have to say I felt it, but saw it in your eyes. I do not want to lose you again, but how do I claim you? I don't even know your name. Do you feel the same? How many lifetimes did we spend together? I do not know. Our two eyes met. I saw a soul I recognized from long ago. You seem to recognize me too. You smiled and are approaching. Maybe the connection is never broken, just delayed. All I know is a feeling, whether it's cosmic or earthly. I will explore you, my new and old friend.
Very nice. Was the scenes on the river that inspired you to write the poem, or did you see something, or is there any connection between the poem and the scenes themselves and the photos? Was there a connection between this photo and what you just said, or it just was an inspiration? You felt inspired at that time?
I just felt inspired. Sometimes.
Well, that is very inspirational. I'm sure anybody who walks there becomes somehow inspired.
Sometimes the people that you meet, they're strangers, and you meet them for the first time, and you think you have a connection.
Are these strangers you met walking along the river, or just in general?
Sometimes along the river. Some I would meet while I spent a lot of time at the Mill Race bookstore, a lot of the customers, and even the people that worked in that building.
Unfortunately, the Mill Race bookstore has closed, correct?
Yeah, after 40 years.
How many years was it there? 40?
40.
Was there something unique about I actually was in the Mill Race bookstore. I had some workshops there myself. I taught speed reading. I gave a workshop there. And they had this beautiful view of the Farmington River and the geese from the window. It was very inspirational, very nice bookstore. What did you like about the bookstore?
It had a very homey feeling and...
very Americana, very old New England.
Well, it was a very old building. I'm not sure how old the building actually was, but you just felt at home. So,
the place you can read before the computer books, right?
That's right.
Okay, what other photograph do you have that you want to show?
I have these two photographs.
And that goes together with one poem, correct? I'll hold one up. That's very pretty. Almost. You
It's
have
in
the
the
color
book.
there, so it's almost
That was a sunrise.
a sunrise. Let me see.
And
but
this
you also
was
have some
actually-
changing of the color right at the beginning of the autumn.
And this was actually a sunset.
So you had sunrise, sunset. Sounds like a song. Isn't there a famous song like that? Sunrise, sunset?
Right before the sunset. And I wrote this poem. I don't know what actually makes me write these poems because some of them are sad and some of them are love poems.
Only happy poems on our show.
Yeah, only happy poems.
Okay.
And this one is called Your Love is My Life. Your love is my life. You connect me like the strands of a spider's web stretching down to my core. Your love completes me like notes played on an instrument with fingers reaching to a distant tune. Your love makes me smile from my insides down to my toes. You tickle me with laughter as you warm me to breathe. Your love is my life.
Well, almost like a Shakespearean sonnet, right? Very nice. Did you learn how to write poems? I know there are many workshops in the Ortho circles that you surround yourself, but did you go to workshops or it just came to you?
No, it just came to me that first poem, Our Two Eyes Met, that it just came to me. But then later I joined a group, the Free Poets Collective.
The Free Poets Collective. Okay.
And they have many different types of poetry that their members will recite.
Do they have workshops or is this like just self-critique? How's that work?
No, they just have these different events where they get together and people will read.
Where have they met?
The American Museum of American Art in New Britain. In Collinsville, I'm trying to think what it was, on the river.
Very nice.
It's the museum, the Canton Museum, I think it's called.
That's it too. They're all along everything you've said so far is very close to the Farmington River.
Yeah.
Very good.
And one time in New Milford at near the train station, but I can't think of the name
That's
where
okay.
it was. And Fort Hill Farms, you know, they meet a lot of the times outside
Okay.
where people are inspired to write poetry, I guess.
Okay. Who did you write this book to sell, or like who would make a good gift for the holidays? Who are your clients? Who's, would be interested in getting this type of book?
It's a coffee table book. It is very expensive, but people that have a love of nature or the Farmington River,
Well, let's discuss. You put out a book, because this is an author's show, Meet the Author. So you did put out a book that turned out to be a little expensive, but you put it out anyways because you wanted a unique book about the Farmington River. Has anybody else put out a book on the Farmington River of photographs?
I don't
And
think
poetry?
so, not that I'm
So
aware of.
You did something unique with a very unique river and famous river in Connecticut. So how come the book came out to be a little bit expensive? What happened? Couldn't
Well,
get a sponsor
it's
or what?
printed on very high quality photographic paper. I spared no expense because I
You
am
wanted
a
and
photographer.
you wanted
I
a
wanted
quality
it
work.
to be the highest quality.
Did you know
If
what
I
the
do
price was?
any other printings of it, I would try to make it more affordable for
Okay.
others.
Did you know what the price was going to be at the outcome? I mean, that's something I myself, when I had to self-publish a book, I did not know the final price of the book, and I also did a color book, and in the end, it came out to be a little bit more expensive than what I expected, and which raised the price for the person who has to purchase it
Yeah.
compared to a book without
I laid out
photos.
the whole book myself, so I was totally aware. I used the highest quality materials, like I said, so I knew it was going to be expensive, and I knew what the price would be, but
You did know what
it
the
was
price would be in the
the
end.
love of the river that made me do it.
Well,
you
how
know.
much are the books? Are they other books similar prices? You have two different sizes.
They're very
Because there are
expensive.
people. Well, let's hear the prices.
This one here is like $145 to buy, retail. And this one is $86.
86.
Yeah.
And
There's
other
80
books?
pages of photographs, and the poetry is interspersed throughout
So the book, you never know if somebody wants it, it's worth it for them. But who would be a good client to get this book?
Well, like a lot of the people in the arts, museums, there are a lot of different companies, corporations.
Corporations that might have the Farmington name in them. That would be a good idea to get the book, Farmington River.
Really, any of the businesses in the Farmington area.
In the Farmington Valley area, yeah. So let's see you have another photo here and another poem.
Okay. Now this photograph is actually the back cover of the book. It has, that was around sunset, and it has a merganser duck on the river.
What type of duck?
Merganser.
Merganser, okay.
And
This photo.
and this was also
Wow. That's a
along the
beautiful photo.
path, along the river, that I walk almost
like
every
a
day.
painting, something an artist would wants to paint
Yeah, it's a
would
photograph, though.
take that. Yeah, but an artist would want to paint. Would do
And
something like that.
and I do paint also, so at some point I will.
You do
But
oil
this-
paintings or pastel or what?
I do acrylic and
Acrylic?
oil, and even some watercolors.
Oh, nice.
This one is called Reminds Me of a Time. The lonely merganser's call through mist-covered paths reminds me of a time two beneath the native blanket lay, wrapped in silence, no need for words, feelings in a glance conveyed through a touch, Rippling waters of the river caressed our brows as the eye of time watched over our souls. Reminds me of a time two beneath the native blanket lay.
Very nice. Have you had an opportunity to showcase your material at, let's say, the Big E? You were there. Was this book for sale at the Big E?
It was not.
Not for sale at the Big E?
I didn't think it was, affordable enough
Okay. But
for
did you put
fairgoers.
Is it on Amazon.com? Where can someone get the book?
It's not on Amazon. It's on my website, kildaycrafts.com.
That would be
KILDAYCRAFTS.
with a K, not a C. Okay. KildayCrafts.com.
And the Blurb website, blurb.com, which is how I printed the book, through Blurb.
Through Blurb? Okay. Oh, that's a company?
They are, yes, they are out of San Francisco, and they do mostly photography books.
Okay. And very nice. And have you had an opportunity, let's say, to go to showcase the book or to talk about it or demonstrate it at a library or at a library talk or an author talk? Have you had that opportunity?
I haven't yet. I've been busy with my other book.
Yeah, Debbie is also the author of, what's the name of the book again?
No Limits, How I Beat the Slots.
And she was a previous guest, and she talked about her book on, what is that book about? We can mention a little bit.
That's how, in 5 years' time, I won $3.4 million playing dollar slot machines, mostly at Mohegan Sun Casino. And I gave all the money away to people that were
charity.
in
More or
need.
less.
They couldn't pay their medical, whatever.
Very good. But you also talk a little bit about the fame that comes with being, someone who wins, a winner, and also the responsibilities that come with that. Very interesting
of
book.
Responsibilities with that. Anything to do with money. But I also talk about in that book also how I think my photography, all the years that I've done photography and art, helped me to see beyond what other people see with their eyes, and I ended up being able to see how the programming works in the machines.
Actually, I met somebody else who says they play the slot machines and they say they can see it, they can feel it. That's very interesting. Okay, that's very good. So that, and somehow, I'm glad I mentioned, because now you're saying, and somehow, and this is what people don't realize, when you take art or you learn to be a photographer or you take a class in art, it changes the way you see the world. It's called artistic mode of seeing, and you see the world through a different light. And you learn a lot from the world, because now you have a tool of the eyes of an artist.
You do. You see, you see beyond what other people see. It's more of a feeling of what really the world is about.
Can you give an example? That's very important, because I do teach art, and I mentioned that artistic mode of seeing is part of the course. Can you mention that? Can you give an example?
Well, as you'll see, in my book there, you'll see a photograph, and people will say, "Where did you take that photograph?" And I will say to them, "Right there." It might be
that is
exactly where we are standing, but they don't see it.
They missed the bridge?
No, but they don't see it because they're not
attuned.
They're not looking, I guess.
They're not paying attention.
They're not paying attention to.
Their mind isn't trained. Last photo.
In other words, wherever you are, there's beauty in everything that you look at and what you see.
I agree with that.
And
that's very nice.
And people don't realize that. Whether it's a flower, a toad hopping on the ground.
Well, as an artist, if you have to paint that flowers. Now you have to pay attention where the light is hitting it, what the colors, what the hues, the contrast, where the shadows are. So now you have to really, really, really pay attention to that object that you're painting, and it really does increase how many colors, you know. One person might look at this table and say it's brown, but an artist might see 12 to 14 different shades of brown and yellows and oranges and golds and reflections from the light, even on this brown table. Well, Debbie, it was a pleasure having you on Meet the Author, and I'm very happy about the book. It's a very beautiful book, and I'm sure that somebody who who needs this book would get it, okay? Especially right before the holidays.
It is a nice book.
I think it's worth it. It's a piece of art, you know? Some arts, I heard there's a painting for sale for $40,000, you know? So if someone wants a good piece of art, it's worth it for all the time that you put in.
I think I made it into a book because I do have the photographs, you know, printed out.
And people should know you also sell the photographs that they can purchase separately. I did see
individually, yes.
Individually, you do sell, you do promote your photographs individually too. Can they get that from the website too?
Not yet.
Not yet, but you do put them in galleries.
They could email me at kildaycrafts@AOL.com.
And you did have that in galleries. I did see that, and in the bookstores. Well, thank you.
Thanks.